not flattering,
No, it's
so
not
I try
good.
to
Yes, it's
focus
straight
on
on.
good posture.
Every year.
Okay, so you do the gavel.
Solution area
Then roll
planners
call,
was actually
then the pledge.
$150,019.
I always feel like that's backwards, but
Well, could have been.
I know I ask every meeting. I ask once a
Or
month.
she just takes
Whatever works for you.
she doesn't put it in.
Play like that's the way.
That's what I'm saying, but I mean,
That's the way I
may have been pennies that get rounded.
Yeah, yeah, I asked her that, because then you go in here,
Okay.
her last year figure,
Winding down to the end.
Whatever you do will be right.
Perfect. I like sitting next to you, Howard.
501.
I feel good.
So I found it for
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm
What
still
I do.
trying to get the presentations loaded.
Oh, okay.
Did you get my
Gavels
Take all the time.
A little bit of technical difficulties tonight.
I've been fighting a migraine all day. I almost called off. I said because there's really not a
I
whole
got
lot
the
on
other
my
stuff,
piece.
and that was
So I
just
thought if
kinda-
I was
I
ever
was
going to
gonna-
miss one,
Well,
this
that's-
is probably not a horrible one
When-
for me to
whenever.
be absent. But
Oh, because
I knew Greg wasn't going to be here.
I want to talk
It was
to
pretty
Terry.
last-
Yeah. Danielle's presenting the budget too, so it's a good one to be at.
Yeah, which is also good. I do.
but I did.
Hello, Duke. How are you?
Yes. Retirement.
Good, good.
The retirement conference is going to be a long meeting, so I got to be ready to talk.
Make those reports short.
I have no reports. I'm giving none.
Oh,
The special.
Yeah.
I logged you out now.
those ideas came
Just give me 2 seconds. It's loading up now.
I don't know.
I said tear it down.
I get.
I rise up. Carries well. Almost split my
No, they want to do a ice update on their ice inspection.
But
That's a bonus though.
Not seeing it
Well, I
yet.
didn't know if that's why specifically he was in the hallway, like watch eyes.
Never mind that.
Does anybody know what he looks like?
yes,
Okay.
And that tax base.
Yeah.
So you know he's not here now.
correct.
Okay.
Maybe we can get through before he gets here and we'll be out of here.
I,
Terry about the
You-
financial.
we weren't on,
That's
the
about
board
like
meeting
that.
was not on his agenda today.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, he said the 21st.
Oh, we got a copy.
Yeah, we got a copy of his agenda today, but he was
Georgia.
There's.
Good.
Is it time
It's
for good?
recording. Yeah, it's recording.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call the Human Services Committee to order. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Graytop,
Here.
Commissioner Baldwin.
Here. We have a quorum. Would you please stand and join us for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
I would move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any citizens wishing to be heard?
George, I would just like to make one comment. We have another function we have to attend this evening, so anybody that's making a presentation, if you can give us the, don't give us the half an hour version, please. Thank you.
I have the timer set at 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, we'll get more than 3 hours.
Okay, do we, no citizens wishing to be heard, correct? Thank you. Any update, an update, item 4A, the Michigan State Cooperative Extension Annual Report?
Advance the slides with. Okay.
Oh, all right. Thank you. First, on behalf of Michigan State University, I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for their generous partnership this year. And hearing the chair, I will move as quickly as I can. Again, thank you very much. What we deliver to the county is knowledge that helps people at home, at work, and in their community. So if you think of knowledge and education, we hope you think of Michigan State. Some opening thoughts. How many folks in the room bought orange juice in the last 3 months? How many people bought non-GMO orange juice? Tropicana, for example. I mean, some do. Would you buy that if you knew there's no such thing as genetically modified orange juice on the market? It doesn't exist. How many, our grandparents right now would be shocked to see that Marysville High School had to send home 40 kids in my son's class because they had chicken pox, right? They say, what? Well, this stuff's eradicated. What's going on? I don't think the parents there were trying to hurt their kids, but there's a reason why they didn't get them vaccinated. What do veggie burgers and flaxseed have in common? They both have 3 million times the amount of estrogen in them as a beef hamburger. Does that surprise people? 3 micrograms in a hamburger, 3 million micrograms in a veggie burger. Yet, when shoppers shop, they look for the beef not treated with hormones, and it's microscopic. In the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the word democracy doesn't exist, and we hear lots of arguments, both sides, about democracy this, democracy that. We're not in democracy. We're in a constitutional republic where 51 senators can undo the will of 49 senators and 435 representatives, where the president can undo all their will unless they can summon 2/3 of a vote to overrule. So why is that? Why is that confusing? And the answer, I think, lies if we think about Frank Layden. When he coached the Utah Jazz, a player was trying to make the team years ago, and he wouldn't do anything right, and Frank finally said, hey, kid, what is it with you? Is it ignorance or apathy? And he said, Coach, I don't know, and I don't care. And so therein lies the issue, right? It's knowledge. And that's what we try to deliver. We're not going to tell people buy organic or buy non-organic. We're going to equip them with knowledge and let them decide for their own family what's best. So again, our mission is to provide an educational process to critical issues, needs, and opportunities. Here's how we're organized. District 10 is in the thumb. The only change here is greening Michigan at the bottom is now community, food, and environment. St. Clair County by the numbers. You can read it faster than I can say it, but these are numbers, $20 million impact to the county, not calculated by Michigan State, calculated by Empowering Michigan. So it's the research corridor, which is Wayne State, Michigan, and Michigan State, Commission, Anderson Economic Group, and they determine the value that was added. But you can see there's 342 youth enrolled at MSU. My daughter's one of them. $6 million financial aid distributed to, that should say St. Clair, that's my bad, county students. My daughter's not getting that, so that seems like a crime. But there's a lot of involvement, 2,400 alumni in St. Clair County from Michigan State. Here's some of the office staff that work here. I see Carol Bublitz in the audience. Thank you, Carol. And we have others as well that aren't here tonight. Other staff that serve this area, other educators, both in the thumb and statewide that serve this area. Real quickly, some highlights. So FIT, Andy Northrup leads FIT statewide, first impression for tourism. Basically, a group comes in unannounced, they audit your city, they look at it through the eyes of a tourist. Hey, hey, you're Marine City, you live on the water, how do I get to a boat? How do I rent a jet ski? Where are your bike paths? These have been really very well received. This year we did, in your county, we did Marine City and St. Clair. Ensuring strong communities, we established a Thumb Food Policy Council. That's being led by Joe Bixler from this office, and that covers the 5 counties of District 10. There were 2 pretty significant meetings held this year, one in Port Huron, some of you attended, and another was in Cass City. The goal there is, to oversimplify it, is really to fight food insecurity, right? All of us can have our own food pantry, and if I'm throwing out bread and, Commissioner Graytop's throwing out milk, well, maybe we need to talk. Maybe we can swap some things to make sure we're feeding more people and not throwing away food. Highlights this year, new commissioner school. No new commissioners here, really. We have, I think Commissioner Dunn is fairly new, and now we have Commissioner Baldwin. But this is a new format this year, very well received, fewer topics covered, much more in-depth in those topics, so well received by people who had been to the prior version, of which I had not. Natural Assets, Sea Grant hosted a number of fisheries tours in this area, and then a number of you, Commissioner Gray, actually a lot of the commissioners were at the Great Lakes Water Level Symposium held in September. Many regarded that as one of the better events they have been to involving MSU and the Army Corps of Engineers. Really good feedback from that. Well done by Mark Breederland coming in from Sea Grant. And again, Sea Grant is one area where Michigan State work together. Michigan State, federal government manage the Sea Grant organization. Supporting food and agriculture, we did a delayed planting meeting, one of the worst years for farmers in recent history. We organized an event out in Memphis, 200 farmers, standing room only. Senator Lowers, Congressman Mitchell's office were there. Very well received. They're looking at Michigan State as a resource for them, not just in good times, but in bad times. Again, won't read through all these. A lot of great events happened here in supporting our food and agriculture. Of note is we did start this year because farmers are having a hard time staffing their farms for two reasons. One is it's hard, people aren't passing drug tests is one reason. The other one is unemployment's really low. There isn't really any unemployment in Michigan, there's just underemployment, people making not enough money because they don't have the skills. So we started a 30-minute virtual breakfast every week. Really well received, very high attendance every week. 15 minutes on crop update, 15 minutes on weather. Farmers didn't have to leave their farm. Really gave us some good feedback on that. Another highlight that we did is when we had that late planting breakfast, that was Jim Domagowski, local farmer, who really got the ball rolling on that. Again, going through this, SNAP Ed, which Carol's a part. Carol and Jen in this office are among the top people in the state as far as programming numbers. They're tireless workers, and you can see we did 133 programs, 2,500 residents this year. Carol and Lori Warchuk were part of the Eat Your Ag from Dirt to Dinner, one of the final 3 governors finalists for the Fitness Award for an Extraordinary Community Event. And that was, Dan Lowers gave a special proclamation to them at the Senate a couple months ago. We do a lot of work with keeping people healthy through the PATH program, which is Personal Action Towards Health. And again, great success with that this year. 2 classes held with McLaren. We also did one at DAV for vets and their families. We did one at McLaren Carmanos for patients and their families. That one just ended here a couple weeks ago. Take a look at the numbers here. Those are in your book. I won't go through that. I will tell you the takeaway here is it's harder to get kids to join 4-H. A lot of people think it's a farm kids program. It's not, but that's on Michigan State to change how we market that. The outcomes for kids that join 4-H are better than the outcomes for kids that don't. The outcomes for young women that join 4-H before 12 or 13 are much higher that they'll pursue a STEM career if they're exposed to those type of things early. Developing youth and communities, again, lots of highlights here. I'll let you read through it. We did a lot, I've challenged our staff and said we don't do a good enough job in South Park, we don't do a good enough job in K-PAC. We got to get to the places where we're not as affluent, and they've done a great job. We did some things this year. The next slide, 4-H K-PAC summer program. So some kids that were struggling in certain academic courses were selected, and we participated, half a day of academics, half a day of hands-on training, and they really got benefit out of that. So we see ourselves as really being huge and plugging into workforce preparedness. We do a lot with, Sea Grant as well with the sturgeon cruise. Always thing here, same county by county. Most counties, it's about 2/3 of their spend is consequential, about 1/3 is administrative, and then 1% to 2% is in, I'll call it developmental. And I put MSU Extension in developmental. Some counties are as high as 65, 66% correctional, consequential, but it's all runs about 2/3. So really closing thoughts to think about, during formative years, our youth are and will make choices that are going to have a profound impact on their health and their career options and their outlook on life. And like it or not, whether you get married, whether you have kids, doesn't matter. Everybody in this room is going to deal with 3 things: nutrition, finances, and stress. Unavoidable. Unavoidable. The good thing is MSU Extension, we're uniquely positioned and we do educate in those specific areas. So this is about keeping people, we don't want them to become a customer of Sheriff Donlin. We want them, if they are, we want them to be an officer, not in one of his jail cells. So we're trying to prepare kids to make better decisions, get kids to make career choices sooner. If you're going to be in a skilled trade, you don't want to decide in 12th grade. You want to decide in 7th or 8th grade, right? So college isn't for everybody. College is great, but we want them to make that decision sooner. So with that, Commissioner, Chairman, that's as fast as I can go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, item 5, any conceptual initiatives?
None.
We have no old business. Item 7, new business, we have none.
Georgia, we can't hear you over here at all.
Yeah. Oh. Are you following along?
Pull, you got to talk and
Okay.
pull it closer.
Got it. Okay, other human service matters? Good, okay. Item number 9, information only, the September Health Department points of interest.
Make a
I,
motion, see and file that.
Second.
Thank you. Item 10, receive and file packets.
Did you take a vote on it?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not. We have a motion and a support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we receive and file packets.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Opposed?
to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Good evening. I'd like to open the meeting for the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Judiciary and Public Safety Committee meeting. And could I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Baldwin,
Present.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Bone,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Still here.
Commissioner Greatop.
Here.
Commissioner Dunn.
Here. Item 2, additions, deletions, changes to the agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens to be heard on the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee? Seeing none. Updates, animal control. Erica, you got the floor.
All right, we'll keep this pretty short, sweet, and to the point here. So this is just a basic update of kind of everything that we've kind of been doing in the last 6 months. So recently, we started taking in donations specifically to use towards some dog medical cases, and we've had some pretty severe ones come through. So these are just some pictures of the dogs that we've helped. We have Gia, who has had stomach cancer, so we were able to remove a tumor and take care of her. There's a little pug in my sweater in that picture there. She had severe bladder stones. I don't know if you saw the small news thing about 2 pugs found tied to a tree by one of our sheriff's deputies, and that's one of them. She had severe bladder stones, so we took care of those. And then Blitz is in the upper corner. He was found stray. He had some major medical issues. And we've had tons of outreach and donations from the public as far as food and supplies that we need for the animals, and some different cases we've taken in that were not anticipated that we needed some things on. Tractor Supply helped us with some of that as well. We've done some community outreach recently, so we did a trunk or treat this year, so we had a ton of kids. Our parking lot was full. We had face painting, we had a balloon people, we had people set up their vehicles and do a safe trunk or treat for the kids. This is some community outreach. Our volunteers built some outdoor feral cat shelters, so there's styrofoam coolers with straw inside so that the cats that we have outside can go inside someplace warm. And our officer took up some educational little matchbox ACO trucks and hands them out to kids and kind of educates about what we do and some safety. Our volunteers have done tons of things with us. We've started doing some play groups. There's them building the feral cat shelters. They've gone to Tractor Supply and done some events and some education, as well as they're filling some candy bags for the trunk or treat. They walk our dogs and, of course, do all the exercising and socializing that we deem necessary. We've formed some pretty amazing partnerships with some local rescues. Recently, as many of you have heard, we've done a lot of avian-type hoarding situations, and we're not equipped here to deal with over 200 birds, which we have recently. So Birds and Beaks Rescue and Rehab and their partnerships have been absolutely amazing for us. They've come at 2 a.m. and met us at the shelter and picked up all these birds. They've taken them to their veterinary specialist, got them taken care of. We've worked with Light of Hope on some bottle babies. SNAP's been great about taking in some of to their foster program, some of our dogs, as well as obviously our spay-neuter. And we couldn't do a lot of the things we do without Daydreams and her livestock trailer that comes and helps us move large volumes of animals as well. She's taken in some horses and refed them that were in bad shape. Just from my start date, which has been about 6 months, we've taken in over 975 animals. So it's been quite an extensive, large amount. The statistics just kind of breaks down where everything has been and how it's gone. And then, of course, we couldn't do what we do without the amazing staff we have out there. There's only a few of us, and I cannot thank my team enough for what they've done. They've put in a lot of extra hours. They're tired. Just this week, we've done a very large case. So we've got our vet tech, Amy. We've got Officer Wilson. Sue, she's the one who we call her Mama Sue. She keeps us all in line and takes care of us up front. We have Scott, who takes care of the back of the house and helps us out on the road. And then Billy is our student worker, and Jody's our weekend girl. So that's kind of our updates. We've done a lot of the microchipping. We've done some private cremations for citizens, and we've done a lot of outreach and work with APS as well. In a lot of our situations with hoarding cases, they've been very substantial for us. So that's kind of where we're at for now. So thank you, guys.
Are there any questions for Erica?
Any questions?
Seeing none.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Item 5, conceptual initiatives.
Oh, back up. The sheriff had asked for a
Okay.
quick update,
All right.
I'm sorry, on the ice inspection.
Sorry, Mr. Sheriff.
He lets me call him Tim now.
Either one works. So, good evening, and I just wanted to give you a quick update. Last week, we completed our annual ice inspection. Usually, we shoot out an email to all of the commissioners, but I wanted to bring Captain Bliss along and just give you a couple quick updates. Captain Bliss is soon to retire, nearly 40 years in the business. Washtenaw County, Florida, and our county for almost the last 10 years, almost as long as I've been in office. Tom has been with me, so he's done an incredible job. We're one of only 4 jails in the Michigan that can pass the standard for ICE contracts, and it is a overwhelming task when you look at the standards that we have to do. And out of the 4 county jails, we're at the most recent highest standard. The other 3 aren't at our standard. So we have the highest standard of any jail in Michigan to house these ICE detainees, I should say. Last Tuesday, we had our closeout meeting. I had reached out to Commissioner McConnell because he chairs judicial. He was in Florida, so he passed. But it was the best report we've had in the entire time we've had the ICE contracts. And I'll let Captain Bliss maybe touch on a couple words about that, if you'd like to, Captain. And your farewell speech, less than 40 minutes, please.
About less than 40 seconds. No, thank you. Yeah, as the Sheriff mentioned, and he covered most of it for that extent, but it was the best inspection we've had in the 9 years I've been here. There's always been issues. I mean, I brought the manual in here for you guys to look at one other time. It's 268 duplex pages of standards and components. And there was always something somebody's going to find somewhere because you can't keep everything pristine and perfect. But this particular inspection, we had 3 very, very minor issues or concerns that were corrected on the spot. So as in the past, we'd have a corrective action plan we have to put together on some of the things. We're not going to have an action plan for this one. Probably the most standout part of the whole inspection, outside of the accolades that the staff and everybody got from the inspectors. And again, to remind you, there's 5 inspectors that come in there over a 3-day period of all day that go through there. And not only do we have to meet the standard and show that we have the policies in place and that we have the paperwork to trail it, but they go out and see that we do it. It's a performance-based inspection, so it makes it even more difficult. But probably the biggest thing that stood out is, as you know, we just went to a new medical contract, and we did that in a very short period of time. Our current vendor had about a 35-day turnaround, and then within 60 days, they had to face an ICE inspection. And the 2 gentlemen that did the mental health and the whole medical component, all the services that we have, their comment in the closeout was, we have no issues and we have no concerns whatsoever. So that was a breath of fresh air. We were kind of holding our breath there because we didn't know what was going to go on with that. So back to the medical contract you approved not too long ago, I think we got the right people. So with that said, we won't have another one for 18 months now that we passed this one. So it'll be quite some time. I'm sure I'll be hunting somewhere, sitting on a beach. I'll try and think about you.
Tom, do you know that the inspection is coming, or is it a surprise? They just
No, we know. We know. They notify us, they give us a written notification about 2, sometimes 3 months out.
Okay, and they come about every 18 months, you said?
18 months, as long as everything's right, everything's fine. They do it about every 18 months. Now, we might get stuck with you might get stuck with an ODO or some other thing which is independent, kind of their IA department, if you will, that may come in and do something. Yeah, we went through that, if you recall. We did that, I think, a year and a half ago. We had 3 inspections in about the period of 5 months. Yeah.
Do they change, are they consistent, or do they put in new rules and regs every year? I mean, is it a changing deal?
It is fairly liquid, I mean, to an extent. As new laws and new things come along, you know, no offense, Gary, but as the lawyers in Washington that sit in the little cubicles come up with something else, you know, a lot of times it turns into a standard or anything else. And you know, the whole ICE situation out there is very public, very in the forefront. And so if something comes up, a standard or component, yeah, it definitely can change. They make us aware of it, and we do the adjustments accordingly.
Any other questions for Captain Bliss or the sheriff? Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, now we'll move on to conceptual initiatives.
None.
None tonight. No old business. New business. Fiscal year 2020 Michigan Mental Health Court Grant Program Award and revised budget.
Motion to send it on to the full board.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, contract approval request for Cummins Sales and Service Intervention Center Generator Service.
We send that full board.
Support.
Any discussion on this topic?
Is that generally an annual sort of thing that we do, Carrie?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think I've seen this before.
It's a 5-year contract, so I would assume it's every year.
At least for the next 5.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, fiscal year 2020 alcohol, traffic safety, and drunk driving prevention incentive grant agreement.
Motion to send it on to the full board.
Support?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, hazard migration plan update grant application.
Mitigation.
Mitigation.
I'll move we send that full board.
Support.
Any discussion about this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it closes the new business. Any other judiciary public safety matters? Information only, nothing to be presented. Motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
I'd like to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Environmental and Public Works Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Baldwin,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Greatop,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Here. At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Supported.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Any citizens to be heard regarding environmental and public works matters? Seeing none. Any updates from commissioners? Seeing none. Any conceptual initiatives from administration?
None.
Seeing none. No old business, new business. And I see Lori here for our Blue Ways of St. Clair's strategic plan adoption.
Hello, I'm Lori with the Blue Ways of St. Clair, and I work for the St. Clair County Metropolitan Planning Commission. So I'm here tonight because I just completed a grant through Michigan Coastal Zone. It was a 15-month grant that was smushed into 9 months because of some foot dragging at the federal level. So it was a lot of work, mushed into 9 months, but it was successful, and I'm really happy about the plan, and I'm here tonight asking you to adopt it. And I will also be going to 13 municipalities, of which Blue Ways are in their jurisdiction, to ask them to adopt it as well. So really quickly, the plan is on our Blue Ways website. I also have a hard copy if anyone is interested. And just like the website, we have a page for each one of our 17 water trails. And it also talks about our future. It's a roadmap for the next 10 years. So briefly, what it calls for is for a Blue Ways Leadership Committee. Right now, I've been running the Blue Ways since 2012 with just a committee, a Blue Ways committee. So it calls for a formal leadership committee through the Metropolitan Planning Commission with a representative each person from the 13 jurisdictions, as well as some private and some business owners. So we will be doing that, but first I want to go around to the communities and ask them to adopt the plan. It also talks about programming. I like that it calls for a safety summit. I've never had a safety summit once a year, bring on law enforcement. I do work very closely with Sheriff Donellan whenever I have events. I had 8 events this year, and usually I only have 1. So we've got a lot of people on the water. Talks about invasive species and what we can do to help promote that. And it talks about the Adopt and Access program, which I've just kind of come up with, and it's a new Blue Ways initiative to improve our access sites. Talks about woody debris. We have woody debris issues on the Bell River, and we need to get some grant money to take care of that, and we can't really do anything unless we have, a formal body. And if we'll get more clout as we grow in the next 10 years. But probably my favorite part about it is, let's see, here's recommendations. I already talked about that. The access points. We have over 50 water access points. 44 of them are highlighted here, and I didn't do those last 6 because if they don't have great parking, if it has really bad parking, I don't highlight it. Like Ballantyne Street that dead ends in front of Lighthouse Park, for example, at Lake Huron, it's a residential area, there's no parking. So I don't highlight some of them. But they're all rated either as a trailhead or a secondary access site. So that gives us, we know where to put some of our money if we get some money. We know which ones need to be improved. And so each of the 44 access sites has a map like this of all the amenities that are there in blue, and then in red, the amenities that would make it better. So it's a really good resource. And each community should look at the access sites that are in their community so we can work together to get some of those amenities that would make it better. Here's another sample. This one is Fort Gratiot Park. There's only two sites that only have one red, only one recommendation. That would be Fort Gratiot Park, which means it's awesome, and St. Clair Marina, and they don't have concessions. Let's see. And then we talk about future water trails. As we have 17, we have over 150 miles, but for instance, where Goodles County Park is, that the Bell River paddle should be extended up to that. But right now, I can't do that because there's too many dead ash trees blocking your way. The Bell River has a problem with that. But you have to have a map showing, you know, what the future might look like. It also talks about obstructions, and just a little note, we only have 2 obstructions in our 150 miles, well, besides bridges, we only have 2 obstructions. We have the Tanner Gate, which is a really weird thing that was built in 1937 that keeps it keeps that body of water from getting silted up. And then we have one dam, the Ford Dam, that's privately owned. I looked today, the Huron River has 13 dams. So we only have 2 obstructions, and one of them is open most of the time where paddlers, you know, to impede their way. So it addresses that, and it addresses a marketing plan and social media, that kind of thing. So I would ask you, I don't need a resolution, but I would ask you if you could adopt our Blue Ways of St. Clair strategic plan. And that way, when communities and the county want to apply for a grant, if you have a plan like this adopted and it talks about the future, you get more points at the state level because it shows that you're planning ahead.
I'd make the motion for final action.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we do the strategic plan adoption. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Laura.
one more quick thing. I gave you a passport to blue. In the audience, I have them around here too. I'd like you to take several. I have a Blue Ways brochure, but this is more of a promotion for St. Clair County. So it's promoting all our nice river towns along our coast because we have this unique thing, the blue water. So I made it to look like a passport with passport like paper and stamps. And then I had community meetings at each one of our towns, and I asked locals, when people come from out of town, where do you take them? And that's these points of interest. So they're not from Lori or from the Planning Commission, they're from the people. And it's kind of neat because like the St. Clair Sandbar made a point of interest because that's where people go. And I did go out on a limb. I made the maps. I'm a cartographer, as you know. I made the maps with a blue background. Maps almost always have a white background, and our consultant suggested that was a new thing. And I think it makes all the icons pop out. So it just shows where you can shop and eat and things to do in each town. And I'm using it for a promotional thing. And if you need some, I had 15,000 printed. So I'm happy to give them away. It's for our whole county. So thank you.
Lori, do you work with the Drain Commissioner at all on any of these waterways? Does he clear any of it for you?
No, I haven't asked him to do that because I believe his strength is in drains, not in waterways. But we have talked about a future access site. As you know, the Parks and Rec, we have 8 handicapped accessible launches, and we have probably 4 or 5 more planned. One of them is drain office owned property next to Fairhaven Launch. They own some property in Ira there, and that would be a great spot for a handicapped launch and a park. So we've talked about that, and then also the one on the border of Algonac and Cotterville. That's County Parks Drain. They both own property there, and it would be a dual trailhead, Bridge to Bay, and then the Blue Ways. So we work closely together.
Okay, thank
And
you.
also, he has trapped beaver before on the Black River Canal. They were doing some damage, and so I told him about it, and he got someone out there.
Lori, and I just want a 30-second, on Bell River in Berlin Township at Miller Road. That's actually a county drain. It's not a river. From Miller Road all the way to Marine City, that becomes a river under DNR. And but for this cleaning up on Bell River at Marine City, how far are you guys looking potentially to go?
A long way. I know at Columbus County Park, the river is beautiful there, but I know that there's some legendary, I call them snags when the ash trees, because the emerald ash borer has killed all our ash trees. It's an invasive species, and therefore they've all fallen in the water.
We're in a hurry, and
it's creating a nightmare.
So ash trees, I got about a half mile of Bell River in my property, and I've got 40,000 ash trees down. But I was just concerned, or just wondering how far up from Marine City you're actually looking potentially. But we can talk about that later.
Up to Columbus, and Clinton River has a woody debris program that I want to copy, so I don't need to make it. I mean, they have it. They have volunteers. We just need money. We know how to do it. We need money. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Okay, B, the Resolution 1916, to the 2019 County at-large drain.
Make a motion, we send that to full board?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, the survey and remonumentation 2020 grant agreement.
I'd make a motion this be sent to the full board.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Saying none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's been moved and it's been supported. No nays. Landfill material supply request.
I'd make a motion this be sent to the full board.
It's been moved
Support.
and supported. Any questions? We don't have Matt here. I'm sure you can call him if you have any.
That's Matt right there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. When did you sneak in? No, I'm kidding. If you have any questions, Matt's here right now. He'd be more than happy to entertain any questions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Landfill house demolition, demolition contract recommendation.
I'll make a motion that we send this on to the full board.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Landfill cone penetration test contractor recommendation.
Move to be sent to full board?
It's been moved that we send this to full board. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Smith Creek landfill activity report. I would entertain a motion that that report be received and filed.
So moved?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, mattered. Any other environmental public works matters? Seeing none, we have information only, the Park and Rec monthly financial reports.
Motion to receive and file that?
It's been made. Second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Make a motion to receive and file packets?
It's been moved. Second?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn.
I move. Motion to adjourn? It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
We're going too fast for Howard.
This time, I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Baldwin,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Greatop,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing.
Here. All right, under 2A, I see we have an addition. I have a motion to have that added to the agenda.
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Can I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
I would so move.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. This time, do we have any citizens wishing to be heard? Any citizens? Seeing none, we'll move to updates. We have none. No conceptual initiatives, no old business. We'll move to 7A, revised retirement policy.
Motion to send that to the full board.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 7B, Health Department Manning Table, proposed revisions.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay, Administrator, controlled proposed 2020 general fund budget.
Good
Motion
evening.
to send that to the full board, please.
Yeah.
Well, we
right.
can have the discussion. That's
Oh, okay. I'm sure you found it already, but I did place a copy of the 2020 budget at each of your places tonight. And I'll just quickly go through the highlights. So for revenue next year, Equalization is projecting a 2 to 3% increase on our property tax revenues. They are also projecting a heavy rollback of our millage rate. So once we factored that in, we're looking at a net increase of 2.1%, or about $731,000. We're seeing a slight decrease in our court fines and fees, and grants overall are, on average, staying flat. Some are going up a little bit, some are going down. That number's a little bit skewed because we had a large port security grant in the 2019 budget, but overall that's staying flat next year. And then we have a slight increase in our federal inmate revenue, interest on our investments, and appropriations from other funds due to the cost allocation plan. Overall, we're looking at a 1.4% increase in revenue next year, or about $874,000. Over on the expenditure side, this budget does include a 2% wage increase for employees, as well as a 1% increase in the pension contribution. Also included in that number, we added one full-time position to the medical examiner's office. It's an administrative assistant to help with the clerical duties over there. As far as departmental operating budgets go, those remained flat except for where there were contractual increases. We did have some small bumps to address those, but otherwise the department budgets remained flat. Again, that capital outlay number there, that is a little bit exaggerated because of that port security grant that I mentioned on the prior slide, but otherwise there were no cuts there. One thing I did want to bring to your attention is that this budget assumes that the governor's line item vetoes are restored. The legislature and the governor are supposed to be negotiating that funding as we speak. There is about $500,000 at stake just for the general fund. So we are closely monitoring how those negotiations are going, and if for some reason they do not go in our favor, then we may be looking at doing budget cuts at the first part of the year. This is a balanced budget with a reserve contingency of $207,000. And the public hearing and adoption is scheduled for next meeting, the full board on the 21st. I'll be putting the budget out on the website tomorrow for public viewing, and we will also have a hard copy in our office if somebody wants to view it that way. And then finally, the adoption of the special revenue fund budgets and final budget adjustments for 2019 will come before you in December. Any questions?
Questions now?
I would be remiss if I didn't say this, because 15 years ago, you've heard me tell the story a million times. Howard, you were here. These budget battles were ugly. Everybody wanted to kill each other. And then when Gary and Bill Kaufman said they were to work on this and you know, put a budget together, I haven't received one phone call in probably the last 5 or 6 years. And before, if my phone wasn't ringing off the hook, that would be an understatement. So once again, kudos to you guys to be able to work that stuff out amongst department heads.
Danielle and I have talked a little bit about this, but you know, with the $500,000 or $600,000 that the governor is holding back right now, we have built the budget including that $500,000 or $600,000. But I think we would be well within our rights to think in terms of we may not have that money. So whatever departments that might affect down the road, I think they need to kind of keep that in the back of their mind that that money just might not be there later on. So kind of think along those lines. It would make sense to me to be prudent that way.
I guess just one other, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but one other footnote. When you talk about a 2 to 3% increase, so often, I was talking to a group today down in Marine City, probably 20 to 25 business owners. Oh man, the economy's great. You guys must be making all kinds of money at the county level, yada, 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 right? That's always the perception. But there's that cap that only goes up in 2% or 3%, equates to, you know, maybe a $600,000 to $700,000 uptick, right? So if we look even sometimes the wage increases, I think 1% costs us roughly $350,000, if I'm not mistaken, and,
Yep.
you know, employees. So this perception of the rest of the world doing well and the county, you know, government's getting, you know, Fat Jack City along the deal, that's not the case, so.
It's a little bit disconcerting to see, you know, a budget increase of only 1.4% when you know inflation is running higher than that, and recognizing that, and I think to Jeff's point, and Terry London isn't here, so you guys don't have to get your pens out. And that is that, you know, we're dealing with both the Headley Amendment and Proposal A. And they both put real restrictions on, you know, what we can raise in terms of revenue from property taxes. And I think we're going to have to roll back again on the Headley Amendment this year.
It's very likely, yes.
So that's going to further complicate matters. I don't know if there's an answer to the problem. It's just that the public needs to be educated about why, as Mr. Bone has pointed out, we have some real restrictions, you know. And yes, their property values may be going up 5–10%, but the amount of revenue we get has to come from the taxable value, and the taxable value can only go up 5% or cost of living, whichever is least. So we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard spot. I don't have an answer to it, but other than educating the public so they know what's going on.
I just want to get moving here again, but Howard brought up earlier that as of this year, in 2008, we had about a 10 million drop in our revenues. We have now matched our 2008. It took 10 years to get back to where we were in 2008, and I just want to say thank you to the employees again, because without all their efforts and everything, and the administrative work that got done, because biggest asset we got to the employees, and want to thank them for, they helped us get here. So.
Both elected officials and directors.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
So, all right, can I have a motion to have this sent to the full board?
So moved.
Support?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
All right, 7D, Board of Commissioners meeting schedule change, and this is for final action. Can I have a motion?
I would move.
Support.
Are you just talking about the library board or also the December meeting?
What you have on here that, you need both on for final action tonight?
If you're
Yeah,
going to
'cause when it-
cancel the committee meeting, yeah, because you won't
Yes.
have,
Yes, definitely.
okay.
So we're moving it to, just so we're clear,
We're gonna have the committee meeting and the full board meeting in December
December.
at one time, so we'll.
December 12th.
Right, we'll eliminate the committee meeting. We'll have 2 meetings in one night. And then, of course, we're gonna have the 5 o'clock meeting next week.
You'll only have one meeting on the 12th. It'll just be your full board.
Okay.
Yeah. Because everyone's going to be gone essentially on the 5th, so.
And in addition to that, we're meeting at 5 o'clock to meet with the full library board and our full board, and then at 6 o'clock, a regular meeting.
Yeah, that's on November 21st.
Correct. Everybody follow that?
Yep,
Surely.
and it'll all be posted. So we have a motion. Did we have a second?
No.
Did we have the motion?
Yes, we have a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Support.
Any further discussion? This is for final action. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 7E, Blue Cross Blue Shield Annual Renewal.
Make a motion, we send this to the full board.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I would just like it noted that there's a 2.5% decrease, if I read that correctly, in healthcare, which is a wonderful thing. We went through times when it was 6, 8, 10, 12, 20% increase. Now we're looking at a 2.5% increase. Good job, whoever does that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 7F, Delta Dental Contract Renewal.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 7G, contract approval request. This is for AT&T Internet Services.
Make a motion, we send it on to the full board.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Now we're going to go to 7H, the contract approval request for Cisco phone replacement.
I'd move this be sent to the full board.
Support.
Any discussion? We need you want to give us a quick rundown, Carrie?
Tiffany is here if
Tiffany's
you have
here.
questions.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Tiffany, please. Thank you.
Didn't want to drone on boring IT stuff if you guys didn't want to hear about it, so I was waiting to hear if there's any questions. Thank you for adding this to the agenda tonight. Some of you may know that I've been working on finding a solution for our phone system for several years. It's been in the CIP for, 7 years, I think, now. Our current phone system is 30 years old. We started by just looking at, can we upgrade and replace our existing phone system? As we looked into that, we realized, yes, we could, but it would cost about $400,000 before we even bought handsets. So it really didn't make sense to upgrade our existing when we could buy a new system for less money. Strange but true, loyalty doesn't always pay off. So we started looking at other phone systems. In the course of that, we did some proof of, we tested some systems that we thought might work for us. It didn't, the proof of concept didn't work out. So we started engaging with Cisco, which is a tried and true phone system, but we didn't think we could afford it. So over the course of working with Cisco and researching our options, we learned that we could do a hosted phone system with Cisco. And that's where we landed. That's the proposal you have in front of you today. It's going to be a hosted system. The handsets, of course, would be on site. We're building redundancy in the system and because everything will be based on our internet circuit. So that's in part why you're seeing that AT&T contract as well, which is going to actually save us a little money as well. So what's great about the fact that it's a hosted system is that it reduces our overhead on taking care of the system. We still can manage it. We still assign the numbers. Your numbers are all going to stay the same, but the infrastructure is with Cisco. So it actually lightens our load, and we're pretty confident it's going to work great for us. One of the great things that I'm excited about for this phone system is it comes with soft phones, which is a software-based phone. You could load it on your computer, you can load it on your cell phone. So with our workforce becoming increasingly mobile, it gives them more flexibility that if they're working from home or on the road or in another state for business, they can have their call forwarded to their VDI workstation. If they've got their Chromebook with them, they can forward it to their cell phone and not have to give out their personal cell phone number to still do county business. So we think that's fantastic. In addition to that, voicemails will be sent to your email box. So if you get a voicemail and you don't have time to listen to it on your phone for whatever reason, you can listen to it on your through your email. So there's a lot of nice features that I think will make our workforce more productive. And again, because we're all increasingly mobile, it makes it, great, quicker service for everybody, responding back to calls and that type of thing.
When will they start and how long will it take to put the whole system in place?
Good question. We're intending to start it in January. And we expect it'll take several months to implement everything. We haven't worked out all the details on how we're going to do this, whether we're going to do it as a forklift, which would be, big bang, we're going to come in on a weekend and we're just going to get it all done, or if we're going to do it in smaller groups and do this department and then that department rolled out slowly. So we haven't worked out all those details. The price is the same either way we go, so it'll just come down to us working with Cisco and the reseller to kind of figure out what's going to be the most stable option. IT will test first, so no matter how we do it, we'll be the guinea pigs, and we'll work out all the bugs before we roll it out.
And none of this will affect 911 service other than
Correct.
their office phones?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? I see it's a nice price tag on there, but,
Yeah.
and not that it's needed, because it's gonna go forward, if this gets approved at the full board, it'll go forward at 519,000. That, the time frame that is kind of important. So if this does get approved at the full board meeting, sometime between now and the first of the year, you'll have that figured out?
I have it figured out now. I wouldn't
I
become,
mean, as far as having it implemented within a weekend or over months, what you're saying, because you haven't figured that out yet, how long it's gonna take, in reference to Bill's question.
we will figure that out after we've signed the contract and we start working with the vendor on those details.
Just give us an update.
Absolutely.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, at this time, moving on to 8, Other Ways and Means Matters. Do we have any? Seeing none. 9, Information Only, Lapeer County Resolution of Support of 4-year terms for Board of Commissioners.
Motion to receive and file?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 10, Receive and File Packets.
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Now we need to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session for the purpose of collective bargaining, negotiation, strategy, and then thereafter adjourn.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.